Hello, hello. Welcome to the PG-ish podcast. I'm Erin, a corporate marketing manager by day, podcast host by night, and single mom to 2 young daughters 24/7. In short, PG-ish parenting is the cliff notes to personal growth as a parent. Since those kiddos are always watching and learning from the adults in their life, like you, PG-ish is parenting guidance-ish to support a life worthy of imitating. Welcome and enjoy. Hey friend, if you want to support PG-ish, the best way is to check out our sponsors. I'll mention them briefly here, but for more details, see the show notes. First, if Whole Foods and Costco had a baby, it would be Thrive Market. Thrive Market is an online store on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. You can shop for thousands of the best-selling organic foods and natural products at member-only prices. Whether you're paleo, gluten-free, vegan, or just feeding a family, you can find everything you need and more. I use Thrive Market all the time to stock my pantry with all our basic school lunch needs, snacks, supplements, cleaning supplies, and even clean wine. Get 30% off your first order when you go to thrivemarket.com/PG-ish. Second, I encourage you to head over to my website, pgishparenting.com, to learn more about us, to catch up on previous episodes, and to become a member of the Weary to Revived course. This course is a result of being on the other side of burnout, fatigue, grief, and frustration. Now, I'm not perfect, nor a fairy godmother with a magic wand to erase all of your problems. I am just a mama standing in front of a weary mama asking her to join me. Take my hand and let me support you in creating a blueprint to feel, heal, and redefine joy in life on your own terms. It can be taken at any time and anywhere. To learn more and to sign up, head over to my website, pgishparenting.com/classes-events. Okay, let's dive into today's conversation with Coach Kevin, who is a certified professional life coach specializing in empowering teenagers. He's on a mission to nurture self-esteem, confidence, and resilience in young minds. With a firm belief that true happiness and success stem from their inner strength, he guides teens through the transformative process of self-discovery and growth, starting with their minds. I love that because if you've been here a while, you know that I love neuroscience. Anyway, with the blend of compassion, insight, and a genuine commitment to making a difference, Kevin empowers teens to rewrite their stories, embrace their true potential, and navigate life's twists and turns with confidence and grace. In my conversation with Coach Kevin, he discusses the biggest issues facing teens today, strategies to let go of expectations and frustrations, some tips and tricks to raise confident and resilient kiddos with more acceptance and love, and shares actionable insights to empowering tweens and teens to navigate life's challenges with resilience and authenticity. Check it out. Kevin, I'm super excited to have you on PG-ish today with me.
Yeah, thank you.
I love personal stories. I think we all have a journey that we've been on, and I would love to know how you became a certified life coach for teens, because that's a special age group.
Yeah, it's certainly a niche, a niche career path that I've chosen here, and it was a long and windy road to get here. I started out my adult career in the music business, and I did that for about 15 years. And then I sort of pivoted into real estate when my third child was born. And I did that for another, I guess it was about 9 years. And then had a lot of time on my hands. And I was sort of struggling to figure out, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What am I doing? What should I spend my time on? And I put myself through a career coaching program with one of my friends locally. And we dug into my skills and my passions and my value add, and we came up with life coaching, specifically for teens and tweens, because I'm in the thick of it. I have a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And through this whole journey and search, I was trying to figure out, what should I do with my time, and what really is the meaning of life. And I don't think I have it yet, but I think I'm on the right track, and that is to have the greatest positive impact on as many people as possible while I'm here on this earth. And focusing on teens and tweens allows me to do that at an age where their subconscious is still able to be called out and to be shared more easily than with adults. And when we can dig into the subconscious for the answers that they have, it really helps them to figure out how to be the best version of themselves. And that's why I decided to do the life coaching for teens and tweens.
I love that. I think so many of us are still looking for our purpose in life, right? And I mean, like you said, if you can extract that from kids at a younger age, or at least get them on the right path towards knowing what they want to do at an earlier age, would be so beneficial.
Well, I've noticed that, all throughout, because I was, we were home during COVID for 2 years,
Yep.
doing homeschool. And when things sort of opened back up, I realized that there's a mental health situation happening with teens and tweens, and therapy's great. Therapy has a purpose, but I think that there's a need for more of a triage situation where we can sort of intervene when we see some red flags. Good parents, they see warning signs all the time. He's sleeping late. They're not getting out of bed. They don't want to go to school anymore. Something's happening over there. And to dig in and to sit down and chat with the kids in a really relaxed, casual setting, similar to this, where we can just, build rapport and become friends and talk about music and video games, and then get to, how does that make you feel? And to understand what emotions they're feeling because of the situations they've been put in at school or at family, friends, whatever, sports, whatever situation they're in, and to dig in, to find out what the emotions they're feeling are, and, to help them get through that and get over that, and to move on and figure out what next steps are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a different world from when we grew up. And so I think us adults, parents are going through it too, of just like, how do we manage all these things that are so wildly different, than, I mean, I grew up I'm an 81 baby, throw it out there.
I'm an 80. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, we didn't have social media.
Right.
We didn't have so many things, technology that our kids are facing. And it's just a different landscape out there.
So what's your strategy? I know you have an 11-year-old, you have a 13-year-old. What's your strategy? How do you do it?
Turning the tables on me. I think that I know what's going on in my kids' lives, right? But there's so much underneath the surface. They're like an iceberg in my house. And so you do have to connect, like you were saying, sitting down, having those conversations, being intentional. I'm a single mom, so I do co-parent, and I only see my kids every other week. And so there's a lot to catch up on. And even those 7 days that they're gone from me, a lot can happen. And so there's a lot of catching up. But I think being intentional, having those connection pieces. And as you know, each kid's so wildly different too. So you have to know not only what they're into, but their likes, their dislikes, like what's happening on at this school, or
their triggers, their
Yes.
personality, their, Yeah. How are they going to respond to that? How
Right?
do I need to respond to that?
Yeah.
Is this where I just take a deep breath and sort of relax and let them process that?
Mhm.
And then we can have a conversation about it? Or is it something I need to address right now? Is it
Yeah.
going to spiral if I don't jump in?
Exactly. There's a lot of, I mean, even this past weekend, my girls were like, why are you so mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. Like, and you have to check your tone, and am I mad? It's like, there's so much always happening. Right. And just a lot of pieces at play.
We're not mad. We're just busy and we're focused.
We have a lot of tabs open into my brain. Like, which one am I tuning into? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No, but I think that mental health piece is so important these days, because we are normalizing that conversation. And I think more kids are aware of it, which is really cool, because I think our parents kind of shuffled or threw things under the rug, and did not address issues or did not repair when things broke down in the house.
Yeah, it was almost for some families maybe taboo, to talk about how you feel and the emotions and how someone else in your family made you feel.
Yeah.
And so, open up that conversation and realizing that, the feelings, they're temporary and they change. So it's okay to have a feeling. Let's have that feeling. And then let's process, why are we having that feeling and how can we change that feeling? And a lot of the times, and a lot of the conversations that I have are about changing the thought that gave you the feeling, so that you can have a more positive thought, which will give you a more positive feeling, which will allow you to have positive actions, positive results, and then more positive thoughts. So
right.
It's a lot about positivity.
Yeah. I think that's super important, of just those feelings, because I think so many, kids' brains aren't fully developed until like 25, 27, they're saying these days. So I think when you can help them understand like those feelings are fleeting, and to kind of get to the bigger root of it, that's really critical, especially with teenagers, right? Like,
yeah. And because there's a lot going on, and it's really chaotic, and things are busy, and things are in flux, and things are always changing for them.
mm-hmm.
It's not a point at their life where they are settled in and comfortable. There's a lot of figuring out who they are, who they want to be, where they're going, how they're going to get there. And then there's all the, what if I don't get there? What if I don't make it? What if I'm not good enough? There's all that. And so those are the types of, negative limiting beliefs and thoughts that we have to find out if they're going on, because they're going on. They're happening. Everybody's got that internal narrator. And if we can teach the kiddos to control that at a young age, maybe they won't end up in therapy at 35. Maybe they'll be set on a course to really be aware emotionally of what's happening and be the best version of themselves that they can.
Yeah. And that's our main goal as a parents, right? Let them to be the best version of themselves.
I think every parent will say, I just want my kid to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is about, giving them, making sure they can have that happy feeling.
Yeah.
No matter what, and be able to control it.
Yeah. Well, what do you see are the biggest issues that teens and tweens are facing right now? I think the landscape keeps changing.
Yeah, it keeps changing. But the number one issue that I see on the group calls and in one-on-ones, and that parents come to me saying, I would like to change this, and it is the negative self-talk and the limiting beliefs, the I'm not good enough, or I'll never make it. There's a lot of anxiety out there. I think there was just a book written, The Anxious Generation.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is because of the recurring negative thoughts, and they're almost automatic. Like, for some kiddos, they start happening before they open their eyes in the morning. Like the split seconds, like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, or oh, I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to see that bully today, or I don't want to deal with that teacher. All these things that pop up. I had a student, I still see him. He couldn't get out of bed in the morning, and his thought was that he was never going to make it. So why even try? Because he had a lot of exposure to social media, and he was exposed to people showing the top 1% of their life, like the most positive fancy parties on yachts, and the kids have the FOMO. And I get that. That's normal to be like, oh, that I'm never going to get there. And number one, well, you could get there, with practice. So you could try and you could get there. But number two is that's not real. And so don't feel so bad about missing out on it. And then channeling those negative thoughts into more positive ones. And what we do is, we practice affirmations, and we work on changing the neural pathways that have been developed with all those negative thoughts recurring over and over again. So we change the negative thought to something positive, and then we practice that, and that helps to rebuild that neural pathway in a way that will benefit someone, and not hold them back, but sort of give them the fuel they need to do better.
For sure. I know I do practice kind of like those I am statements with my girls, and I don't know how well they stick, or if I'm just planting a seed and maybe, they'll realize that they are doing something later in life. But I think that's what we can do, right? Is just show them the different tools and tricks. And yeah, those affirmations are important.
I think as parents, helping them to build self-concept and to show them how awesome they are. Like, yeah, you are kind and strong and resilient, and you value, in this house, this family, you as a person, we value, truth and honesty and hard work. And, all those things make up you. So when you're in a tough situation, you have to remember that and recall that, because, life isn't, it's not always a straight trajectory of, roses and rainbows. It's, there are hard days and there are tough days that, if you don't have that self-concept and that support to hold you up and to, keep you positive, then, who knows how far down, you could go. And then sometimes it's tough to get back up, and the further down you go, the harder it is to get back up. So having those tools in the toolbox are essential.
Yeah. I know that resiliency is a kind of buzzword right now, and it's hard to teach, but I think, what you're saying is the key to it, of just kind of reframing those conversations, the negative self-talk, and yeah, just reminding kids that life isn't going to be unicorns and rainbows all the time, right? Like, there's going to be hard days.
And the opposite, that, life is hard.
Yeah.
And everything about life is hard. And, if it's easy for you, then you're not doing it right.
Right.
Because, if you want to be the best version of yourself, then you have to go and tackle the thing that's in your way, the hard thing, like whatever that is. If it's saying hi to the person that you're uncomfortable saying hi to because of something, then, that's the thing you have to go do, is go say hi to them, because they're probably going to turn around, look at you in the face and smile and say, I'm so glad you said that. And meanwhile, the kids inside are like, oh, I don't know what they're going to say to me. They might tell me that they don't want to be friends with me. And, So doing the hard thing. And there's a book, it's called, The Obstacle is the Way. I love it. It's because that's my motto this year is, doing the hard thing and getting uncomfortable makes you grow and it makes you better. And so doing all those things, having that practice is the tool in the toolbox that will really help build that resiliency, I think.
No, I totally agree. And I think, I mean, life is full of choices and it's not like they start at a certain age. Like our kids are facing lots of choices already, in preschool, and helping them make better choices and to face the uncomfortable earlier on is only going to help them in the long run.
Definitely. It's a muscle.
It is that a lot of us don't want to use because it's hard.
Yeah.
But,
right.
Yeah.
I equate it to going to the gym, but for mental health.
Yeah.
And you have to practice it. And, 3 weeks makes a habit.
Yeah. And no, that's a great way to frame it, is approaching your mental health like physical health, right? Like it's not taboo. It's just, it's a muscle that we have to use. I mean, I know that you talked about finding your purpose, but how, other than like these affirmations and reframing things for our kids, are there like 3 to 5 things that you could be like, okay, how can we dig through what you like, what you don't like, and help you find kind of the right path to go on and help them set better goals other than like, I want to get an A on my test? Because we all know that after college, it's not about tests anymore, right? And I feel like this is a whole other conversation, but I feel like our education system is kind of failing our kids to some degree because it is a lot of test taking. But yeah, how do you get in there and kind of decipher purposes and goals?
The first thing is we have to build rapport, and sometimes that takes the whole first session, and not till the very end do we like get to slide in a little goal there towards the end. But, it's about building rapport so you gain trust and, you become friends and realize that, hey, this guy is not, he's not a therapy. He's not trying to, do some magic or anything like that. And we're just talking. And after we do that, the most effective way of pulling out the path is to do a visioning exercise. And that is to sort of have them quiet their mind. We do some deep breathing together. And I ask some questions about, imagine yourself 5 years from now, and what do you look like? And what are you doing? And, what do you do for work? And where do you live? And they get a picture in their mind. And I don't ask them to answer the questions verbally. I just say, don't answer, just get the vision, get the photos, because everybody's got their vision. Everybody knows their purpose. And when you can dig down into your subconscious and like pull out that picture, and it's like, okay, well, now at least I have an idea, a target. Someone will say to me, I saw myself, I had a beard and, I was living in Japan and I had, this for breakfast and my job was, in high fashion. It's like, okay, well, we're going to learn Japanese, number one, that's a goal we have. Yeah. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Number two, we're going to think about, fashion school or, marketing or all these different pathways to help sort of get them from where they are to their vision and beyond. And when they realize that, okay, this is how it works, like all I have to do is think it and then use my mind to put in action items that I can just achieve by doing the hard thing, and I can get there, well, then that's how we're going to do it. We're going to have fun doing it. So that's what it's all about. Everybody's got, I think, at a young age, when you can dig into the subconscious like that and get them to pull out the vision, that's like the best part of the gig. That's the best part of the job, when they can have the vision. They're like, they have their eyes closed, but then they start to smile.
Yeah.
When you're doing it, and they're like, oh, he's got it. I know it. So,
yeah.
It's fun.
So cool.
It's fun.
I'll have to try that. My youngest loves fashion. So
awesome.
Just trying to pull that out of her a little bit more too is
very cool. Well, I'm happy to chat with them. And, because sometimes it's different when you're a parent talking to the kiddos.
For sure.
So let me know if you want me to chat with them sometime over the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You reminded me when you were saying that, I don't know if you're familiar with Marcus Buckingham, but he talks about red threads and pulling red threads out of our children. And that's like kind of, it gets back to the heart of who they are, right? And kind of pulling them out of the box that society likes to put them in. So you should check them out.
I like that. Red thread. Cool.
Yeah. And that kind of how, I think when you think, I know at this point in my life, and I look back, it's like there were so many steps that I've taken along the way, and we are just kind of weaving things together that are likes and dislikes, but trying to figure it out and finding our purpose and testing new things and just seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Explore all the options. Go test things. Go try all the foods. Go do all the things, go to all the places and figure out what you like. And if you can do that, then you'll be able to at least have an idea of what you like and what you don't like, and the direction in which you should go. So
Yeah. I mean, this is just my personal, because my kids are, going into, well, one's in middle school, one's going into middle school, and I feel like their world is just school. It's like school and YouTube, right? And I'm like,
right.
how do you take those blinders off of like, there's more to explore and understand? And sorry, I'm like in the thick of test taking with my girls at school, so it's like, they're so encumbered by this idea of like I have to do well on a test, and it's like there's so much more to life,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I just do your best and I don't care. But do you notice that like kids have those blinders on?
Yeah, I really think they do when they don't know what's out there, and there's a lot of noise being thrown at them all the time. And it's every day. It's school's a grind. It's a grind, and it's a thing, and they know how they are judged on their schoolwork, and they have to get good grades, so they have to do their tests, and it's like there's a pot of gold at the end of the school rainbow, and that's what they're sort of trying to achieve. But it's tough when they have the blinders on to get them excited about the future, when it seems like every day is kind of monotonous and it's going to go on for 8-10 more years. So I like to always take like an entrepreneurial angle, and say like, what would it be like, if you could start your own, fashion company, your own design company. How would you start it? What would you do first? Well, I learned to sew. Well, that's awesome. Do you know how to sew yet? No, but I really want to take some lessons. Oh, that's great. Let's look and see what's out there. Let's get that signed up, and just get them to, you know, focus on some stuff extracurricularly that can help to foster those passions, and let them see that, yeah, there's a future here, and it's bright, and it can actually be whatever I want it to be.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to your visioning, which I love. That's so cool. I know that this age group too, like we said before, it's like there's just so much happening and there's so much transitioning. And I feel like I'm almost going, like my kids are reverting back to some like not toddler, but I don't know, like 6-7 year old kind of age issues, like lying in my household, which is so fascinating. Is that kind of common for this age group to kind of like test the waters a little bit differently, or what should they be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think always, if kids aren't testing boundaries, they're not doing
True.
their jobs.
Yeah.
And so it's really important for parents to set those boundaries, and hold them pretty hard and fast. There's so much transition. Kids are trying to figure out, I think, yeah, they might be testing you, but I think they're probably trying to figure out, how much can they get away with. They're very social with their friends. Like, I don't believe that I spoke to my friends like on a daily basis outside of school, as much as our kiddos do, just because they have the
Yeah,
technology to put
for
in place.
sure.
We had the
Yeah.
rotary phone with the
Yeah.
the corded one in the
Yeah.
house, so they're all talking to their friends simultaneously now, and maybe multiple friends at one time. I think there's a lot of my parents let me do this, what do you think your folks would say, type of thing. So yeah, I think there's some of that, but I think kids are inherently good, and they all want to do good. They all know how to do good. And, if they're not, then it's just because they're feeling something that they're not quite sure why they're feeling it, or it hasn't been normalized yet. And they just feel like they're different, but they're not. So get into the feeling. It's like, so why are they lying? Like they feel awkward about something, or they feel frustrated about something, or they feel like, we're not listening, or, whatever the case is, we have to dig in and
Yeah.
find that out.
Going back to technology, how have you set boundaries in your home, or the challenges that you faced, and how do you tackle them?
Mm. I am very fortunate to have kiddos that know all of the right ways to manage their technology. They're super safe online. So the first thing we did was we educated them about, the right ways to do things, the safe ways to do things. And then, we have all the parental controls, everything's sort of age appropriate. And we have the timers, the automatic settings on the Messenger kids, and the Wi-Fi. And, they always try and push it, they always try
Right.
and, bend it. But, we reward them with more time when they do things, when they're on point, because they've earned it, I feel like. And, that's the way they interact socially now. And that's the way they learn a lot too. I think my kiddos have learned more from YouTube than than
It's
I care
true.
to admit.
Yeah.
But it's a powerful thing, and I think as long as they we can teach them to use the technology productively and to use it to benefit them and show them the ways that it can benefit them. I partner with a company right now who helps kiddos to shine online and to build their online brand. Whether it's their fashion portfolio, on Instagram, and they grow with that, or it's they are wanting to get recruited by a college or university for a sports team. Putting the highlight reel online is something that's going to help you. It's going to benefit you, and it's going to be able to help propel you to next steps. But hanging out in a Discord chat, it's really not a beneficial thing, unless you're learning something that has to do with something else. But yeah, so that's the way we approach it.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think, I mean, education just all around, like we were saying before, it's like we're just having those conversations as parents that our parents didn't have. And I mean,
Didn't have to have. Yeah.
yeah, they didn't have to have for sure. And I think even just building that rapport and knowing that we are a safe place for our kids to have those conversations, to have them come to us to educate them on certain things and not just friend groups. Yeah, it all goes back to that trust and connection piece, right?
Yeah. Connection. Yeah. And letting them educate us sometimes too. It's like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
What exactly, what is that? And what are you working on? Oh, these are your friends. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, I like that screen name. Yeah. Are they appropriate online? Do they follow the rules? Oh yeah, they're good. But this person isn't. So, having those conversations, really helps to develop that connection and, teach them something at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely had my kids check my technology too, like this isn't working for me. And somehow they know. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? Like, I'm not that old. I should know how to do this too. But yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about the noise and everything. Are there other tips and tricks that you have about cutting down the noise just so that they don't feel so distracted or feel the pressures? I mean, I know for me, there's moments where it's really hard for me to focus or that I get stuck in the not so much doom scrolling, but just in that cycle of like, oh, things aren't going well or life is hard.
I mean, the life is hard. There are a couple different ways that I like to approach that. The number one thing is to, start to talk about mindfulness and, introduce meditation through breathing. Really, I think is the thing that gets their attention the most, because I tell them they can sneakily do it anywhere, wherever they are, and in any situation they're faced with, and that it's scientifically proven that the breath is seen across impacting various sections of the brain, whether it deals with emotions or reasoning skills. The breathing helps you to reset and to be able to take 30 seconds or take a minute and practice breathing in this way. That will help you to gain some clarity, and also you might start to be aware of your internal narrative and what it's saying to you, contributing to the noise, so that now we're aware of a thought that we're having that is either helping us or holding us back. And so I think mindfulness and breathing is I think the best way to tune out the noise, but also developing a habit of setting aside time every day to do that. Whether it's the first thing in the morning or before you go to sleep at night. And I'm a big proponent and practitioner of showing gratitude first thing in the morning. Like instead of me right before I open my eyes in the morning, I'll when I'm talking to a kiddo, I'll say, before you open your eyes in the morning, instead of thinking, that you don't want to go to school, think about how lucky you are, to have a loving family, or think about how lucky you are to have an awesome room, or think about how lucky you are to be on the soccer team. And then, when you go to bed at night, as you're closing your eyes, just keep telling yourself, like, I'm so lucky to have this life to be able to do whatever I want with. And just having those feelings of gratitude help to drown out the negative noise and give you more of a positive outlook. And honestly, it'll carry you through the whole day if you practice that sort of stuff. So putting like developing those habits, which, when stacked up upon each other, can really be pretty impactful.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think just making it a habit though, for sure. I think, there's always, it's hard for me sometimes too, and so let alone kids, but I know the times that I had been very consistent with that habit of just breathing before I wake up or get out of bed. And it just is so helpful. I know that I've definitely used breathing techniques with my oldest. She's had panic attacks before, and I've luckily have been there with her and walked her through some breathing exercises. Is there a favorite one? I know like box breathing is kind of
Box breathing is pretty popular. It's easy for the kids to, visualize it and do the box thing. The one that I practice because it's scientifically proven that if you practice it for 5 minutes a day, you become happier. It's in through the nose as deep as you can, and a small sip at the top through the nose, and then hard out through the mouth through pursed lips. So it's and the out actually slows your heart rate down too when you're breathing out. So that's the technique that I like to practice. But I also recommend people check out Wim Hof and do there's like an 11-minute breathing exercise on YouTube that he has, and it's life-changing because that's when you start to realize the awareness piece, and you start to feel, the blood going through your veins, and you feel you start to get tingly, and you might feel a little bit cool, or, things start to happen that it's like, oh, wow, like I am not my thoughts. Like that's when you can disconnect and really feel that you have control over your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so that's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I do love Wim Hof too. Have not really taken my kids down that path yet, but I think I should. Yeah. Why not?
It's a thing. It's a tool, it's a tool. And if especially, if there's a panic attack situation, it's a 10-minute thing that can really, really set you off right for the rest of the day. And I don't know what the doctors will say about putting them in an ice plunge.
Right.
Yeah. But that's a thing too.
Yeah. I don't know if they'd like that so much,
Yeah.
but it is a thing for sure. Go jump in a cold shower. Yeah. No, and I think gratitude is very powerful as well. So getting that into practice. Again, I haven't been as consistent as I'd like to be, just to be totally honest.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I can imagine how busy you are. And I totally, I feel that, it's tough to set aside time for yourself to do that. And that was actually a limiting belief that I had for myself, was that self-care was selfish. And actually, self-care is the most unselfish thing you do because it makes everybody around you have such a better experience.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, it's that age-old quip, right? Of like, put your oxygen mask on first. And it's true though. Like you can't.
That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that.
Forego it because you got to take care of yourself, especially as the parents, because if we're running on empty, then nobody's happy.
I love that analogy that, when your cup is full, you're overflowing, you have enough to give. But if your cup's not full, it's, you can't help other people.
Yeah. I mean, especially with this age group of teens and tweens, it's like, we have to be on our game to be available to them. Otherwise they will go elsewhere. Right. And that's not what we want. Always goes back to that connection and trust piece and building that rapport. So we have to give them our attention. And it's too easy to get wrapped up in all the noise in the world. Yeah,
it really is. And, they have a big challenge ahead of them, but I think that there's tons of hope. I think society might have to just take a look at, like you said, the school system and see like really what is the best thing for the kiddos to go out there and, be the best version of themselves. And how do we get them from A to B? It's a good question. It's an important question. But if there was like a societal shift that could really help, really benefit the future generations, I think it should be looked at.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I feel like what you're doing should be in schools, right? Like, okay, who cares about this testing?
Right. Yeah.
We need to be teaching mindfulness and gratitude and breathing, real world stuff, that is going to benefit them later on and the generations to come.
Yeah. I mean, the emotional intelligence piece of it is huge. I mean, the top, I don't know what the study is, but there's a high percentage of successful people in the world whose emotional intelligence is higher than their IQ, and it's really important. And I think some schools are starting to phase in some of the EQ stuff, but you're right. If it were more prevalent, I think especially during this mental health crisis we're having, we could do a better job.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I mean, I feel like all of life is just relationships, right? So that EQ needs to be there because if we're not connecting with people in a right way, then what do we have? And what do they say that if you don't have community or those good relationships, it's almost like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or something like that. Like
Yeah,
it's that
yeah.
bad, if you don't have good
Right.
relationships. So
Yeah, if you don't have purpose, if you don't have the friendships and the community, all that stuff will land you in a blue zone if you do it right.
yeah, there's a lot of facets at play, but this is an important one. So I'm glad that you are helping these kiddos in the world.
It's so much fun for me to do it, and that's how I know that it's my calling. It's like it's not even work for me. I love it.
Good. Yeah. How is it at home? I know that's, being a coach. Are your
Yeah,
kids coachable and listen to you?
to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But then they're like, "Dad, I know what you're doing."
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, that's enough questions. I'm not answering. I want my lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're great. I am just sort of here as a guide for them to be the goalie, and if they need something, to come and we'll figure out how to get around it and do it. But I like to give them their own autonomy to make their own choices and have their own consequences, so that they can really think about it. Because when you make them think about it, that's when the wheels start turning and they start to grow and grow up a little bit too.
Yeah. I know that so many parents feel like the teenage years are very daunting and they're bracing themselves for the hardships. But I feel like teenagers hold a special place in your heart. Like, do you feel like that's even necessary to not put up walls, but just brace yourself? I feel like not every teenager goes through craziness.
Yeah, no, I think it's the teenage years are very difficult when they're going through them, because it's like constant change, like we said. And I think that parents should they should brace themselves in the way that they need to take a step back, maybe, and not be so naggy just because their teen isn't doing that chore right away. To not let their emotions get the best of them, to not get upset if they don't come down right away for dinner. And because, in my experience, when, the kids are all going to make the right decisions, but when they're nagged and when they feel like they don't have control over something, they're less likely to do the thing that you want them to do. So I think if there's, any advice I have for parents, it's to, when you're faced with that tough situation where you're getting frustrated and you don't know why they're not doing the thing that you want them to do, or something's going wrong, just to take a step back and pause and breathe and just wait. Because give it 5 minutes and go downstairs, and 9 times out of 10 at minute 4, like, they're gonna be coming downstairs and with like no drama. Whereas, like, you probably would still have the back and forth at that point if you forced it. So, if you didn't force it and just let it happen, then everybody's a little bit happier and everybody kind of gets what they want.
Yeah. That pause is important. I think too often we do try to rush it and force things. And yeah, if us as parents took that step back and just breathe through it and expect good things, right? And usually they do happen.
And it's tough because, as parents, the way we really learned how to be parents ourselves is from, how our parents parented us.
Yeah.
And they learned from how their parents parented them.
Yeah.
And so, we all have these expectations, and we all have these ideas of, who our kids are going to be, how they're going to get there. And, we kind of have to throw that all out the window to some extent. It's good to have goals and it's good to have visions, but, they're their own people.
Yeah. We're all kind of evolving together. It's like you're saying, you can't take what we've learned from our parents and just smack it onto our kids, right? Like, we have to learn and grow together. Yeah, that's good stuff. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to say or that's on your mind?
I don't know. What do you have your kids do in the summer?
Good question. They have one camp lined up and still trying to, it's late in the game, but I'm still trying to find one more, specifically an art one. Yeah. And then we'll just be traveling to see family and hanging out at home. They have gymnastics going on too. So
Nice. Yeah. That's on my mind, finding summer stuff to do for my kiddos.
Yeah.
That's what I
Right?
ask.
I know. I feel like you have to do it in January. So I'm like, oh gosh, we're
Yeah, and we totally didn't. So it's
yeah.
we're gonna sign up this weekend for some things just to get them out and keep them busy, let them see their friends in
Yeah.
IRL,
Right.
so
I
it's
know.
they're not just
Seriously. Yeah. Thankfully, we live in a community where there's like 8 kids just on
oh
our
nice,
street. And so
that's great.
we do just send them out. I feel like my childhood is being relived through them
Oh, that's
vicariously of
great.
like, they're out on their bikes and their skateboards and chalk, all over the
Oh,
street. I'm like, this is
perfect.
great. You guys aren't on screens. You're having
Just get
fun.
them a little
So
lemonade stand for the summer, and they'll be good
I
to
know.
go. Yeah,
I'm trying to plug the entrepreneurship, although they took that upon themselves and they were making bracelets for the
perfect.
neighbors. So I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, go
perfect.
make some money. you know?
Exactly. Love it.
Yeah. That's always the hard part though of keeping them busy in the summer. I don't know about you, but I was just at home by myself watching MTV. So times have changed.
Yeah, keeping them busy, keeping them from being bored is the thing, because when the boredom sets in, all sorts of things can happen. But when they tell me they're bored, I ask them what they're curious about. And when they answer that, well, I said, well, let's go to the library and let's get a book on it, or let's go find the thing somewhere and figure it out. Because curiosity is the cure for boredom. And maybe you'll learn something along the way. So that's,
Right?
try
Yeah.
and take that route.
I know. I do have an idea. I don't know if I'll implement it, but in that same vein of taking them to the library, getting them some books and having them write book reports essentially. And that's how they'll make an allowance because I need some different incentive.
Different incentives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And even for the writing thing, I think we've talked about doing some reviews of teachers from the past year and, getting them to do a whole essay argument on that. I think they're all going to be lawyers one day. But.
Right. I know. Get their minds working in one way or another, right? Yeah. As a coach, what's going on in your world? Like, how are you getting clients? What can you tell my audience of how to connect with you?
Sure. I'm online at lifecoachkevin.com, and I'm on Instagram at lifecoachkevin, and Teen Life Coach on Facebook. And folks can schedule a call and we can find out what's going on with their kiddo, and we can see what kind of results parents are looking for. I like to sit down in a consultation and really get to the heart of what's going on. And if mom or dad says, we want them to make more friends, then we say, okay, how many more friends? 3? Yeah, we could do 3. We could do 3 in a month. We'll get 3 more friends. We want better grades. Okay, we're going to go, what is that? Are we going from C's to B's? Are we going from B's to A's? So we quantify the results that they want to see, and then we, make a plan to achieve them. So yeah, folks can find me and schedule a call, and I'm happy to talk and work out a program that works for the kiddo.
Great. Yeah. It definitely takes a village, right? So as parents need someone like you in our corner to help us fight
Yeah,
our
and
battles.
it's kind of like the being the cool uncle. It's better than being a parent on the coaching end of things, because I ask questions like what can your parents do better? That's pretty good information to have. And sometimes it's just like, I wish they listened to me more. And just by doing that, parents, you don't really even have to do anything except sit there and work on your listening skills,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah. I think most teens want us parents to sit back and listen and not problem solve, for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's great feedback for parents too, to have you in their corner, only because a lot of kids are afraid to tell their parents what they want to see them do differently. So it is nice to have a neutral friend like you.
Happy to make friends.
Yeah, right. Friends are good.
Friends are great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I really appreciate you having me on. This has been great.
Yeah.
And let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation and are able to walk away with some actionable steps to support your kiddo's growth. Links to Kevin's website, Thrive Market, and my Rear to Revive course can be found in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today. If you're enjoying PG-ish, please take less than 5 seconds to subscribe and leave a comment or review on Apple Podcasts so that more parents can learn and grow alongside their kiddos like you. See you next time, my friend.